Welcome to Raregivers 2023. My name's Crystal Barrett O'Loughlin. I'm the founder and CEO of Angel Aid. All throughout the month, we've been offering our wellness experiences. And today we are focused on caregivers. We're focused on a very, very special caregiver named Smriti Bhattacharya and another very special caregiver named Ali Mazaheri. Both of those individuals also happen to be Microsoft employees and an engineer and an executive in their respective divisions. So this is just going to be a beautiful overview of what it's like to have multiple roles in your life and for us to give a chance to share the voice of both of those caregivers and those engineers and executives. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to just realized that I didn't actually share the right settings, and I want you to be able to hear the videos later. So I'd like to introduce you to what we're doing with our Give campaign. So Raregivers is actually a program. It's an appeal. It's a request for your support. And the Raregivers Network is a environment where we bring personal connection and emotional support to patients, parents, and professionals in the rare, chronic, and complex disease communities. These are individuals who feel the weight of their medical life. Or their loved one's medicalized life. They feel isolation, they feel overwhelm, and what we provide is daily relief, compassion, and skills training on how to deal with medical trauma and the realities, like I said, of living with these rare diseases. It's our goal to support 3.5 million Raregivers by 2026, which might seem like a huge number, but when you look in the context of this broader global community, which we'll do in a moment, then you'll understand why that is so very achievable. We can only do it with your support, though. So this is, in fact, a broadcast to shine a light to inspire you to donate and support our work. And there's two different sort of pathways to donations. If you're a Microsoft employee, we encourage you to donate on Benevity. Benevity is how you will secure that matching grant from Microsoft. And if you're outside the Microsoft company and you are inspired to donate to Angel Aid, please do so at angelaidcares.org/give. We've provided a donation guide to give you a sense of what your generous donations will go towards. Live crisis support calls, weekly support groups, working with families that have needle fear and needle phobia through a webinar and a wellness kit that we mail into the home. Hosting individuals for our wellness retreats, and then our ongoing weekly support groups after that. And then for our Archangel donors at the $5,000 level, these are the change makers that are actually sponsoring whole retreats, whole cohorts of people to go through our training. So please make your donations. And as we step through this experience together over the next half an hour, we just want you to know that there's a deep personal purpose behind why we do this work. And it starts with our family, the Barrett family. My parents are truly the strongest people I know. And my mother and father met in high school. My father was captain of the football team. My mother was head drill team leader. They married just out of high school at 19 years old in 1963. And they wanted a big family. So they had a basketball team of kids, 5 kids within 8 years. You can see my oldest brother, Richard, and you can see me as the youngest. And you may notice in David, Jared, and Randy, my 3 middle brothers, that they were not quite developing the same as Richard and I. In fact, the Barrett family lost 3 sons, 3 of my older brothers, to a rare disease called mucopolysaccharidosis or Hunter syndrome. My mother was the carrier, an X-linked disease, recessive gene. They didn't even name the disease until the 1960s. So they had no idea, as they were having baby after baby after baby, that 3 of their sons were going to pass away. And the stress of the caregiving was profound. The whole family was wrapped up in the care of my brothers. My brothers did pass away bedridden at 12, 18, and 19 years old. This is a tragic tale. The stress of the caregiving broke my parents apart. They divorced in 1975. There was great honoring in the passing of my brothers. But I will tell you that there has also been a lifetime of reflection and forgiveness and grace. And if you stick with us to the end of the broadcast, I'll give you a love story like you could never believe. What I have done is spent a lifetime thinking about the purpose of suffering. Why does a family get impacted in such a way? And in the context of what's happening in our world, suffering is part of the life experience, isn't it? And what I can tell you is the purpose of suffering, at least in my belief system, is to sow the seeds of empathy. It's to marinate your heart in such a way that you can be there deeply, listening and open and receiving the pain and suffering of others. And you can deeply connect, do that heart exchange. And we've all been experiencing so many deeply disturbing experiences through the pandemic, through our climate crisis, through wars and other disruptions in our home and work life. We've been isolated. We've been dealing with medical uncertainty, right? So you, even if you are not in a rare disease family, can relate to what rare disease families go through all the time. And I can tell you this is a global challenge. There are more rare diseases, more families living with rare diseases than AIDS and cancer combined. In fact, there's over 10,000 genetically identified rare diseases, and you've heard of a lot of these: cystic fibrosis, multiple sclerosis, Tay-Sachs disease, MPS disease, Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So many of the autism and other epileptic treatment and diagnoses, symptom diagnoses, have a genetic component behind them, right? So we're looking at 350 million, some say 400 million families around the world that are dealing with rare diseases, that are loving the best that they can, the children, the young adults and adults in their family, suffering from these diseases. And there's a reality that just has blown my heart away, which is there's 0 cures. So for the last 50 years, while the Barrett family was going through our experience, and research and science has been accelerating at a breakneck speed that we've never seen before, still at the end of the day, 0 cures. And if that reality exists, then this is what I call empathy math. If you have 350 million families times 0 cures, you have a global mental health crisis on your hands. And in fact, we know it's a fundamental human right. It's Sustainable Development Goal number 3 with the United Nations, to have good health and well-being. And do you notice how they point out health and well-being? It's not just physical health that's a fundamental human right. It's mental and emotional health as well. And so much of the resource that we have in the rare disease community is going towards research and science, and that is appropriate. Until we actually have more treatments and cures for these rare diseases, we need to be bringing emotional relief today. So that's why we established Angel Aid back in the year 2000. That's why we've been 100% focused on mental health and well-being services as of the year 2018. And that's why we established a global network called the Raregivers Coalition Network. We've been delivering well-being, and it is working. Okay, last year, we went from 500 families to 5,000. And here we are almost 2/3 of the way through 2023, we're at almost 16,000 families. We will be at 50,000 families by the end of the year. Okay, we have 22 psychologists and vetted health and wellness practitioners in our network that's supporting this very large community. And we'll talk about how we do that at scale. And we've delivered 21,000 hours and counting daily of wellness training and relief. Okay, so we know how to do this. We just need the funding. We just need the support in order to do it at scale. Get to that 3.5 million Raregivers by 2026. So thank you so much to our corporate sponsors. With corporate sponsorship, we're able to tap into amazing networks of individuals on a volunteer basis, like we do with our employee volunteers at Microsoft, who built our website, built our mobile app, helped us with language translations, and all of the industry, the pharmaceutical industry partners that recognize how important it is to have mental health and wellness as part of the patient support structure. And there are just a few that recognize that, and here they are. They've actually supported our work. And the many patient organizations that are living day in and day out with the families that know how important mental health and well-being support is. So thank you. Thank you for all of your support. And just know, you might have noticed on that last slide, the purple. The purple came out of an organization called Empath Labs. And Empath Labs is a partner of Angel Aid. They created the best invention of 2021, according to Time Magazine, right? The purple is a calming companion, right? You hold the purple up to your body, you pet it, and it starts purring. And you can feel the purring and you can hear the purring. That's why it's called the purple. And so what we'd like to offer you is that every donation made during October Give Month is entered to win a purple calming companion. Okay, so every donation. So here's where you go. Microsoft employees through Benevity, and then Angel Aid through angelaidcares.org/give will be entered to win a purple companion. So gives to gets, right? We're excited to share this perspective of Smriti and Ali. And I'd like to get there as quickly as possible. Smriti actually went through our wellness retreat, so she knows what this is all about. Your donations last year helped us deliver our very first Spanish-speaking retreat, our Australia epilepsy retreat, and our very first men's retreat here in California. And what do we do when we bring cohorts together? We witness their everyday experiences. We witness what it's like to share the emotions when you first notice something wasn't quite right with your loved one. What it's like to be in the ER worrying about an end of life experience, what it's like to live through an end of life experience, and how to find meaning in all of this, right? So we do everyday witnessing, and no better person to talk about this amazing perspective than Smriti Bhattacharya. She is a senior software engineer at Microsoft. She has gobs of experience technically. She's also a rare mother. She has twin boys, one of whom was diagnosed with a rare genetic disease. And she actually didn't realize that she was quote unquote a rare mother until she volunteered in the Microsoft Hack for Good program. She volunteered to translate our sustainable rare mother guidebook into Hindi. And it was then, as she was reading it and translating it, that she realized, wait a second, this is a resource for me. So I'd like you to meet Smriti in our series called Welcome to Our World. So this is Crystal O'Loughlin from Angel Aid Cares, and I am so honored to have this time with Smriti Bhattacharya. Smriti, welcome to our world, right? This is our interview series with Rare Mothers. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. And maybe if you could talk about how we had the opportunity to meet each other, that would be a great starting point for our discussion.
I've been thinking about that, and I think the universe conspired to get us together. It was the beginning of the pandemic, and we were all figuring out how to, work remotely, work online. And Microsoft had its hackathon, and I joined a project that seemed interesting. It was the Angel Aid project, and it was a Hack for Good initiative. And the more I learned about Angel Aid and everything that you were talking about rare moms, and I was like, she's talking about my story, like, and then I took up the translation of the workbook that you do, right, for the Sustainable Mom. And I was going to translate it to Hindi, and I read, and of course I had to go through that, and I read it, and that's when I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is exactly what I need right now. And I think the rest is history, right? Like, we've been working together ever since. uh, I think we've done at least 3 hacks together, and the events, and it's been amazing. And thank you for connecting me with the Angel Aid community. It's been very, very powerful, and it's really helped me prioritize myself and introspect. And yeah, I can go on. It
Yeah,
gets emotional, so yeah.
it it is. Well, and so wasn't that, like you said, a divine connection or the universe conspiring because we needed to be inclusive. We have this community that's centered around mothers of children, um, minor children and adult children, but children with rare genetic diseases. And we have a wellness methodology called the Sustainable Mom, and we wanted to include mothers from around the world. And so to do that, needed to translate our methodology into these different languages. And you raised your hand and you said, "Yes, I can help with the Hindi translation." And at that point, I don't think you had revealed that you have a child with a rare disease, that this is an identity called a rare mother that you had never really considered yourself. And so so talk to us about your family and your story. How did you get to that first moment of awareness that that something was happening in your family with rare disease?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a twin mom. I had my kids about 4 years ago after a long struggle with fertility. And during the pregnancy, everything was normal, every scan was normal. So, we didn't really expect anything, so we were not prepared for anything. But when my sons, Kian and Ronan, were born, and they do the usual tests on them, and they found that Kian had an anatomical issue. So he was rushed to the children's hospital, and then we found out he has something called a Vactor syndrome. So basically, he had renal, spinal, and anorectal issues. And that, so I was basically thrown into the deep end of parenting with twins, which these were my first kids, right? And on top of that, a that had some life-threatening issues. They were life-threatening at that point, right? And the first year was particularly hard. Like, he underwent like 6 surgeries, including one that helped him walk and things like that. So they were like major surgeries, most of them. Yeah, so it was interesting. It has been the last 4 years, have been a roller coaster ride. And it took us a while from learning that he had a problem to coming to the acceptance, and as a family. And now, like, it's become a way of life for us. So yeah, that's basically my story.
Mm. And your son um, is now your
Yeah.
sons are how old now?
They're four
They're
now. They
4.
just started preschool. I'm
Wow.
so grateful that Kian can go to preschool and have a relatively normal life. There are things that we have to do on a daily basis, so that he can have a normal life, but he needs a daily procedure and things like that. But on the whole, yes, they're four and they're starting to talk. Their personalities are amazing. So it's been pretty amazing from that perspective. I'm like super grateful that we were able to get to this point.
Yeah, yeah. And and in celebrating these abilities, right? Uh, you've also probably carried a lot of worries and concerns and wonderment for the future, what's going to happen, and how did you handle your emotions before you got engaged with Angel Aid, and then maybe subsequently since?
Yeah, so I've always struggled with weight, but I was pretty stable for the last 10 years or so before I had kids, and then I gained about 100 pounds
Mm.
uh, after. So that was basically my way of dealing with stress is
Yeah.
food, and that is how. And I was an athlete in school, and I used to be into fitness. Uh, but I think for the last 3 years, I wasn't really doing anything, and my first step into self-care was actually one of the sessions that you'd hosted. It was a micro session at Microsoft, where it was a 15-minute thing where you taught the importance of breathing. So that was so powerful for me. So
Mhm.
yes, yes, it's been like really hard,
Yeah.
and now, I mean, I'm past that, and I attended the workshops, and the some of the sessions with Dr. Laura, and right now I'm into spinning, I'm hiking, as well as doing yoga. So that's a long like journey for me, and I'm super grateful I can do that. So yeah, it's been really hard dealing with everything. Yes. Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. Well, isn't that amazing, right? Just a few moments to remind you to breathe, right?
Yes.
It's like the one tool that we all have available to us to handle stress and emotional distress and difficulty is to breathe and breathe slowly and mindfully and thoughtfully. And I remember when we were doing a call for applications for our global wellness retreat, and I saw your application come in, and I was like, oh, yay! Like Smriti's, prioritizing her time, right? Because it was an investment in you, and also a connection with other women that are going through not exactly the same journey, but something similar. What do you remember about some of those sessions or some of the feelings that came up in connecting with other women?
Yeah, I mean, that was the most powerful thing, knowing you're not alone. There are other people who've had like a similar journey, and the fact that I could get to talk with them, connect with them, I think that was the most powerful thing. And after that, there were things to with self-care that you taught us, like, just take those 5 minutes to have a breathing session, something like that. But I think that community, that sense of community has been the most powerful thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you've been so active in the community and also within the Microsoft community, right? So October's our month of giving. It's the Angel Aid month of giving, and it's the Microsoft month of giving. And we've got a big event coming up in October, October 22nd, from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And there's a bunch of ways to join. You can join through Teams, you can join through YouTube or Zoom or Facebook Live. Um, if you're a Microsoft employee, you can find more information at aka.ms/Angel Aid Cares. And if you're outside of Microsoft, you can simply go to our website, angelaidcares.org. But Smriti, you have such wisdom and loving energy. Every interaction I have with you, um, I'm just inspired and very, very touched by your strength of spirit. What would you tell another rare mother that is starting this journey, like you were 4 years ago? What would you tell her today?
I think, and sorry, this makes me emotional, but I would say, first of all, you're not alone, reach out, get the help you need, because you may feel guilty that you're prioritizing yourself, but in order to take care of your kids, you need to prioritize yourself. So I think that's something that I've learned over the years. And it has really helped me. And it was not easy to learn that, because you don't want to do that, right? Especially when you're going through a situation like that. But I think that's the most important thing you can do to help your family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And um, your gift back to the broader rare community is you just being so open and being so lovingly available and sharing your message, and also opening up our training to a whole group of women who speak Hindi. So we're so grateful to you,
Yeah,
sweetie.
but
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for, starting something like this. And I will, and people like me will, always support it, because nobody thinks about something for mothers, there's so many support things for, there's a support group for my child's condition, and there's a support group for school things and things like that, right? But something like this is the first time I've come across it, and I really hope everything we do makes a difference and we can reach out to more and more women and families. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And I look forward to doing it with you. So, well, thank you, Smriti. We will see you in our hackathons. We'll see you in our give campaigns, and we'll see you in our groups, in our Rare Mother groups. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Crystal.
Wow. Okay. I was getting choked up in that presentation. It's been a little while since I've seen my friend Smriti, and also it's been such an honor to get to know the team at Microsoft. These divine connections, as we mentioned, came through LinkedIn as well. I was connected to Ali Mazaheri via LinkedIn and reached out to him, and he tells a long story about how he ignored my LinkedIn requests because it just seemed so kind of out of the context of the business realm. But eventually reached out, went to the Angel Aid website and realized, oh, wait a second, okay, this is a sincere outreach. And since then, Ali Mazaheri has been one of our most fierce champions within Microsoft. He is a rare father. He is also a volunteer as part of the Give campaign. He's been able to secure our broadcast locations for us the last 2 years at the Microsoft Technology Centers. So we don't have time today to go into the full interview, but I'll just show you the link so that you can see. There's an organization, actually a show called Simply Tech Live. It's usually broadcast live on LinkedIn. And there's a whole hour-long discussion between myself, Smriti, and Ali Mazaheri with the host, Derek Russell. So please do check that out. And if you want to go a little deeper into how we've all been collaborating, I'd be honored. And there's some timestamps there for you for Ali's comments. So it's Raregivers Month of Wellness. Please visit angelacares.org/give. You can see all of our daily broadcasts Monday through Friday. And I promised you an ending to that love story. So Richard and Phyllis did marry in 1963. They divorced in 1975. They each remarried again, second marriages, divorced again, each remarried a third time, third marriages, and they each widowed within a year of each other. So two widows reunited in love at the birth of our daughter, Chloe. So their first granddaughter was born. And guess what? They reunited and they've been back together for 16 years now. And in 2023, I had the great honor of witnessing this love story reblossom into a fourth marriage to back to the original, second time around, as my father says. So there's a love story for the ages, and I hope that it inspires you to give what's on your heart. We're trying to raise at least $25,000 from our Microsoft broadcasts, and we have a matching grant of another $25,000. So we'll be able to host those wellness retreats going into next year. So please do give what's on your heart. If you want to connect with our community, go to angelacares.org or raregivers.global. And if there's anyone in your network or your family or your community that you think may need support services or a listening ear without judgment, please send them our way. I'd like to say thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next edition of The Raregivers.